flashing lights are amber on the inside, red on the outside on both sides, and they're clean and functional. My windshield is clean, there's no illegal stickers or obstructions, and it's not damaged or broken, and it's functional. And my windshield wiper blades are securely mounted with no loose or missing parts. The blades are not torn, damaged, or broken in any way, and they are functional as well.
Okay.
My right side flat convex mirrors and brackets are securely mounted, no loose or missing parts, and the glass is clean with no illegal stickers or damage or obstructions, and it's also functional.
Okay.
My right side crossover mirror and bracket is securely mounted, there's no loose or missing parts, the glass has no illegal stickers or obstructions, and it is undamaged, clean, and functional.
Okay.
Alright, my left side flattened crossover mirror and bracket is securely mounted, there's no loose or missing parts, the glass has no illegal stickers or obstructions, and is undamaged, and it is clean and functional. And my left side crossover mirror and bracket is securely mounted, there's no loose or missing parts, and the glass has no illegal stickers or obstructions. It is undamaged, clean, and functional. Alright, my side markers on both sides are amber in color, and they're clean and functional. My left and right turn signal and hazard lights are amber in color, and they are clean and functional. And my left and right headlights, both high and low beams, are white in color, and they are clean and functional. Underneath the bus, there's no debris, obstruction, or leakage, and the bus is not leaning to the left or to the right.
Okay.
All right. So to test my oil level, I would take out the I'd take out the dipstick, I would wipe it off, reinsert it, take it out again to make sure it's within proper operating level, and then I would reinsert it.
Okay.
To check the automatic transmission fluid, I would take out the dipstick, wipe it off, and reinsert it, pull it out to check and make sure it's within proper operating level, and then reinsert it.
Okay.
The coolant reservoir is at proper operating capacity. The cap is securely mounted and tight, and the upper and lower hoses are securely mounted, they're undamaged, and there's no leaks.
Okay.
My air compressor is securely mounted, there's no loose or missing parts, and it is undamaged, and there's no leaks as well, and that is a gear-driven component.
Okay.
My automatic steering reservoir, I would check the level by pulling out the dipstick, wiping it off, reinserting it, taking it out again to make sure it's within proper operating level, and then reinserting.
Okay.
My steering box is securely mounted, there's no loose or missing parts, and it is not cracked, damaged, or broken, and that is also a gear-driven component.
Okay.
My pitman arm, drag link, and tie rod are securely mounted. They're not cracked, damaged, or broken, and they're not. There's no loose or missing parts, including nuts, bolts, or cotter keys.
Okay.
My frame is securely mounted. It is not cracked, damaged, or broken, and there's no loose or missing parts. It's also not bent, and there are no illegal welds.
Okay.
My front and rear mounts and hangers are securely mounted. There's no cracked, there's no loose or missing parts, and they are not cracked, damaged, or broken. My leaf springs are securely mounted. They're not. There's no loose or missing parts, and they're not cracked, damaged, or broken. There's also no illegal welds, and they're not missing. My U-bolt and hanger, my U-bolts and bushings rather, are securely mounted. There's no loose or missing parts, and they are not cracked, damaged, or broken. And my axle is securely mounted. There's no loose or missing parts. It is not cracked, damaged, bent, or broken, and there are no illegal welds.
Okay.
My brake hose, line, and coupling are securely mounted with no loose or missing parts. They are not cracked, damaged, or broken, and there's no leaks.
Okay.
My shock absorber is also securely mounted. It is not cracked, damaged, or broken, and it is also not leaking. My brake chamber is securely mounted. There's no cracks or damages. It is not missing any parts, and there's no loose parts, and it is also not dented or leaking.
What's before that?
Is the slack adjuster
That's next.
after the brake hose, line, and coupling, but before the brake chamber?
Oh, you got it.
Oh, I got it. Yeah, I did the brake hose. Yeah, okay. So the brake hose, line, coupling is securely mounted, not cracked, damaged, broken, no leaks. And the brake chamber.
That was on me.
Oh, no, that's fine. The slack adjuster and push rod are securely mounted. There's no loose or missing parts. And with the tires chalked and the parking brake release, if I pulled on the push rod, it would not move more than an inch.
Okay.
My brake drum is securely mounted, no loose missing parts, no cracks or damage, and there's no oil or grease.
Okay.
The brake lining, where visible, is not worn dangerously thin.
Okay.
My tire tread and sidewall is evenly worn, and there's no tears or cuts or damage.
Okay.
My tire tread depth is no less than 4/32 of an inch. My rim is securely mounted. It's not cracked, damaged, or broken. There's no loose or missing parts. There's also no illegal welds.
Okay.
My lug nuts are all present. They are not cracked or damaged, and there's no sign of looseness such as shiny threads or rust.
Okay.
My hub oil and axle seal is not leaking. And then my valve stem and cap is securely mounted. It's not leaking, broken, or damaged.
Okay.
And if I were to read the tire pressure on the gauge, the interior gauge, it would read between 90 and 120 psi.
Good.
All right, my AC compressors, both upper and lower, as well as my alternator and my water pump, are all securely mounted. They are not cracked, damaged, or broken, and there's no loose or missing parts. The water pump is also not leaking, and all of those components are belt driven.
Okay.
My serpentine belts are securely mounted. They're not frayed, worn, or damaged. And if I were to push on them, there would not be more than 3/4 of an inch play in the belt tension.
Okay.
My upper and lower radiator hoses are securely mounted. They're not cracked, damaged, or broken, with no loose or missing parts, and there's no leaks in those.
Okay.
My frame is securely mounted. It is not cracked, damaged, or broken, or bent. There's no illegal welds, and it's not damaged or broken.
Good.
My shock absorber is securely mounted. It is not cracked, damaged, or broken. There's no loose or missing parts, and there's no leakage. My front and rear mounts and hangers are securely mounted. They are not cracked, damaged, or broken, and there's no loose or missing parts.
Good.
My leaf springs are securely mounted. They're not cracked, damaged, or broken. They're not missing or bent, and with no illegal welds.
Okay.
And my U-bolts and bushings are securely mounted. They are not cracked, damaged, or broken. There's no loose or missing parts as well. My axle is still not cracked, damaged, or broken. It's not bent. There's no illegal welds, and is not missing any parts.
Okay.
All right, my brake hose line and coupling are securely mounted. They are not cracked, damaged, or broken, and there's no loose or missing parts. They're also not leaking. My brake chamber is securely mounted. It's not cracked, damaged, or broken, or dented, and there's no loose or missing parts. It is also not leaking.
Okay.
My brake drum is securely mounted with no loose or missing parts. It's not cracked, damaged, or broken, and there's no signs of oil or grease. And my brake lining, where visible, is not worn dangerously thin.
Good.
My tire tread and sidewall are evenly worn. There's no tears, wears, cuts, or damage. And my tire tread is no less than 4/32 of an inch.
Okay.
My rim is securely mounted, no cracks or damage. It does not have any loose or missing parts, and there's no illegal welds. My lug nuts are all present. They're not cracked or damaged, and there's no sign of looseness such as shiny threads or rust. My hub oil and axle seal is not leaking. And my valve stem and cap is present. It's not cracked, damaged, or broken. There's no leaks, and if I were to measure the air pressure on the internal gauge, it would read between 90 and 120 psi.
Not the internal gauge, on a tire gauge.
Oh, you're right.
On a tire pressure gauge.
Right.
All right.
Passenger and driver windows there's no illegal stickers or obstructions. They are clean and undamaged and functional.
Okay.
My emergency exit windows are properly labeled, and the glass is clean and functional.
Okay.
And my my reflective tape is clean and visible as well.
Good.
My my right turn signal is amber in color. It is clean and functional. My reflectors are red in the back and amber elsewhere, and they are clean and functional.
Good.
My diesel fuel tank and lines are securely mounted, and they're not leaking. They're not damaged or broken, and the cap is securely mounted, as is the door.
Okay.
Okay. Underneath the bus, my drive shaft is securely mounted. The couplings are undamaged and not leaking, and there's no illegal welds, and does not have any loose or missing parts. The exhaust system is securely mounted. There's no loose or missing parts. It's not cracked, damaged, broken, or leaking, and there's no signs of leakage such as rust or carbon soot.
Good.
The frame of my bus goes all the way down the length of the bus. It is not cracked, damaged, or broken. There's no illegal welds or bends, and there's no loose or missing parts.
Good.
Okay. My front and rear mounts, hangers, and torque arms are securely mounted with no loose or missing parts. They're not cracked, damaged, or broken.
Okay.
My leaf springs are securely mounted. They're not missing, bent. There's no illegal welds. They're not cracked, damaged, or broken, and there's no loose or missing parts. My U-bolts and bushings are securely mounted with no loose or missing parts, and they are not cracked, damaged, or broken.
Good.
My rear axle differential is securely mounted. It is not cracked, damaged, broken, or leaking.
Good.
All right, my brake hose line and coupling. My shock absorber is also securely mounted. It's not cracked, damaged, or broken, and there's no loose or missing parts. It's also not leaking.
Glad you called it.
My brake hose line and coupling are securely mounted. There's no loose or missing parts. They're not cracked, damaged, or broken, and there's no leaks. My brake chamber is securely mounted with no loose or missing parts. It's not cracked, damaged, broken, or dented, and it is not leaking.
Okay.
My brake drum is securely mounted with no loose or missing parts. It is not cracked, damaged, or broken, and there's no oil or grease.
Okay.
And my brake lining, where visible, is not worn dangerously thin.
Good.
My tire tread and sidewall are evenly worn, and there's not torn or cut or damaged. And the tire tread depth is no less than 2/32 of an inch.
Okay.
My rim is securely mounted with no loose or missing parts. It's not cracked, damaged, or broken, and there's no illegal welds.
Okay.
My lug nuts are all present and unbroken or damaged, and there's no signs of looseness such as shiny threads or rust. And my hub oil and axle seal is not leaking.
Okay.
And my valve stem and caps, valve stems and cap are securely mounted. They're not broken or damaged, and they're not leaking. And if read with a tire gauge, they would read between 90 and 120 psi.
Okay.
Are 3 on the inside and 2 on the outside. They're red in color. They're clean and functional. My alternating flashing lights are amber on the inside and red on the outside, and they are clean and functional. My left and right turn signals and hazard lights on both sides are amber in color. They are clean and functional. My stop lights, both upper and lower, are red in color, and they are clean and functional. And my reverse backing lights are white in color and clean and functional. Additionally, my reflectors are red in color, and they are clean and functional.
Okay.
My license plate light is white in color. It is clean and functional. And my exhaust pipe is free of debris. My emergency door is properly labeled. The door opens smoothly. The seal is intact, and the hinges are securely mounted with no loose or missing parts. The door is operational, and the alarm buzzer would sound if the vehicle was on.
Okay.
And the door closes securely as well. All right. On the left side of the frame of the bus, it has its 4 alternating flashing lights that are red in color, and they're clean and functional. Would you like me to show you the other stop arm?
Yes.
This stop arm is securely mounted to the frame of the bus. It is functional, and the 4 alternating flashing lights on the stop arm are red in color, clean and functional as well.
Okay.
Would you like me to tell you the things that are the same on this side of the bus?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So my clearance lights are red in the rear and amber elsewhere. They're functional.
Okay.
My passenger and driver windows are all have no illegal stickers or obstructions. They're not broken or damaged. They're clean and functional. My emergency exit windows are properly labeled, and they are functional. My reflective tape is clean and visible. My left turn signal is amber in color. It is clean and functional. My reflectors are red in the rear, red color in the rear, and amber in color elsewhere, and they are also clean and functional. Okay. My fuse box door is mounted securely. The fuses are all intact. They're not frayed, worn, or torn. There's no smell of smoke, and the mechanics have extra fuses as well. My batteries door is functional. The batteries are securely mounted. The connections are also securely mounted, and there's no sign of corrosion on the batteries as well. They're not leaking. There's no loose or missing parts. They're not broken, damaged, or broken.
And your
or damaged.
connections are?
And the connections are secure.
Okay, good. All right.
Okay.
But you got to tell me else. So let me look.
Okay, yes. All right. Underneath the bus,
Mm-hmm.
the drive shaft is securely mounted. There's no loose or missing parts. It's not cracked, damaged, or broken, and the couplings are secure.
Mm-hmm.
The exhaust system is securely mounted with no loose or missing parts. It's not cracked, broken, damaged, or leaking, and it's functional.
Mm-hmm.
The frame of the bus goes all the way down, and it is not cracked, damaged, or broken. There's no loose or missing parts. It is not bent or with any illegal welds.
Okay.
My front and rear mounts, hangers, and torque arms are securely mounted. There's no loose or missing parts. They are not cracked, damaged, or broken.
Mm-hmm.
My leaf springs are securely mounted with no loose or missing parts. They are not cracked, damaged, broken, or missing, and there's no illegal welds.
Mm-hmm.
And my U-bolts and bushings are all securely mounted. There's no loose or missing parts. They're not cracked, damaged, or broken.
Okay.
Additionally, my shock absorber is securely mounted. There's no loose or missing parts. It is not cracked, damaged, broken, or leaking.
Okay.
And my rear axle differential is securely mounted. It has no loose or missing parts. It's not cracked, damaged, or broken, and it is not leaking as well.
Good.
My brake hose, line, and coupling are all securely mounted. They're not cracked, damaged, or broken. There's no loose or missing parts, and they are not leaking.
Mm-hmm.
My brake chamber is securely mounted. It's not cracked, damaged, broken, or dented. It is not leaking, and it is functional.
Okay.
My brake drum is securely mounted. It is not cracked, damaged, broken, or missing any parts, and there's no loose parts, and there's no oil or grease.
Okay.
And then my brake lining, where visible, is not worn dangerously thin.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, my slack adjuster and push rod on both this side and the other side are also securely mounted. They are not cracked, damaged, or broken. There's no loose or missing parts, and if I were to pull on the push rod with the wheels chocked and the emergency brake released, it would not move more than an inch.
That was a good catch. Good job.
All right, the tire tread and sidewall are worn evenly. They're not torn, worn, or cut in any way, and the tire tread is no less than 2/32 of an inch. The rim is securely mounted with no loose or missing parts. It is not cracked, damaged, broken, and there are no illegal welds.
Okay.
The lug nuts are present, they're not missing, and they're not cracked or damaged. There's also no signs of looseness, such as shiny threads or rust. And my hub axle and oil seal is not leaking. The valve stems and caps are securely mounted. They're not cracked, damaged, broken, or leaking. And if I were to measure the tire pressure with a tire gauge, it would read between 90 and 120 psi.
Good job.
Fuel line and the fuel tank and lines rather are securely mounted. They're not cracked, damaged, or broken. They're not leaking, and the door is operational but locked. My entry light is white in color. It is clean and functional. My passenger doors open securely. The seal is intact, and the hinges are all securely mounted with no loose or missing parts and no cracks or damage.
Good.
The glass on the door has no illegal stickers or obstructions. It is not damaged or broken, and it is clean and functional. My step entry light is white in color. It is clean and functional.
Okay.
My handrails are securely mounted with no loose or missing parts, and they're functional. And my steps, the tread is not worn, is not overworn. There's no obstructions, and it's not loose.
And they're clean.
And they're clean. Okay, my body fluid and first aid kits are both securely mounted, as are my 3 reflective triangles.
Okay.
Additionally, my fire extinguisher is securely mounted. The gauge is at proper operating level, and it is not out of date.
Okay.
All right, my passenger mirror is securely mounted. It's properly adjusted. There's no loose or missing parts or damage. The glass has no illegal stickers or obstructions. It is clean, and it's not damaged, and it's functional as well.
There you go. Good job. Put the key in. Turn it to the right.
All right. My passenger seats are securely mounted to the rear frame of the bus. They are not broken or damaged or missing any parts, and the upholstery on the seats is not worn or torn or broken.
Okay.
The passenger seat belts are all securely mounted. They're not frayed or torn or damaged in any way, and they're adjusted properly. Okay.
Good job.
My rear emergency exit door is properly labeled.
Good.
opens smoothly and it closes securely. The seal is intact. The hinges are all properly mounted with no loose or missing parts. And the alarm buzzer sound is operational.
Good.
As well. My emergency roof hatch is properly labeled.
Uh-huh. Gonna make a noise?
No, that's okay.
Okay.
All right. It opens smoothly.
Okay.
And it
Let's see if you remember how to latch it securely.
latches securely.
All right.
Trying to show you how well it does that. Yes, latches securely. The
And the alarm would sound.
alarm would sound.
Good.
Yes, as well. It is operational. The emergency windows are properly labeled. They open smoothly and they latch securely. And the alarm is operational.
Good.
Would you like me to show you the other roof hatch and the other emergency windows?
No. You can come on to the front.
Okay. My driver's seat is securely mounted to the frame of the bus, and the upholstery is not worn or damaged.
Okay.
The seat belt is securely mounted. It is not frayed, worn, or damaged or torn,
Okay.
and it's properly adjusted. All right.
So, good job. Let's go. Close the door.
Okay. So my front air conditioning is operational. My driver's air conditioning is operational, and my rear air conditioning is operational. My rear heater is operational. My driver heater and defrost is operational, and I can feel it on the dash.
Good.
The boost pump is operational. My strobe light is operational. My driver dome light is operational, and it is white in color and clean and functional.
Good.
My passenger dome lights are operational. They are white in color and clean and functional.
Good.
My master flasher switch is operational. My amber alternating flashing lights are amber in color. They're clean and operational, and I can see them in my left and right crossover mirrors, as well as my driver dashboard and my driver panel.
Good.
My red alternating flashing lights are red in color. They're clean and functional, and I can see them in both of my crossover mirrors, as well as my left side flattened convex mirrors, including on the stop arm. I can also see them on my driver dashboard and my driver panel.
Good job.
My override switch is operational, and the alternating flashing lights are red in color. I can see them in both my crossover mirrors, as well as my driver side flattened convex mirrors, including on the stop arm. I can also see them on my driver dashboard and my driving panel.
Good.
And my noise suppressant is operational.
All right. Good
Okay.
job.
My windshield wipers are operational. The blades are not torn or worn or broken, and they're securely mounted with no loose missing parts. My driving or windshield fluid rather is operational as well. The windshield has no legal stickers or obstructions. It is not damaged or broken, and it is clean and functional.
Good.
Okay. My left turn signal
Okay.
is operating properly. The turn signal is amber in color. I can see it in my left crossover mirror, my left convex mirror, as well as on my driver dashboard. My right turn signal is amber in color. It is clean and functional, and I can see it in my right crossover mirror, as well as my right convex mirror, and on my driver dashboard. My headlights, the high beams, are operational. They are white in color, and I can see them in both of my crossover mirrors as well as on my driver dashboard. My hazard lights are operational. They're amber in color. I can see them in both of my crossover mirrors as well as both of my convex mirrors. I can also see them on my driver dashboard.
Good job.
And my horn is operational.
Good job.
Okay, my transmission fluid temperature is operational, and it's reading between 140 and 200 degrees. My DEF fuel tank level is properly operational. My oil pressure is operational, and it's reading between 5 and 20 psi while idling, and between 40 and 60 psi while running. My water temperature is operational, and the temperature is reading between 170 and 200 degrees. My rotations per minute gauge is operational, as is my miles per hour gauge. My battery voltage is reading between 14 and 16, and it is operational. My fuel tank is operational and at proper operating level. And both my upper and lower air compression
air supply tank.
Air supply tanks are reading between 120 and 125 psi, and they are operational.
Good.
My transmission is operational. My passenger door is operational.
Okay.
And my No Child Left Behind alarm is operational. The buzzer is sounding, and the shut-off switch is also operational.
Good job.
All right. My tires are chocked, and I will now begin my air brake test. I'm going to put the bus in the safe start, and I see that my ABS light is functional.
Okay.
I'm then going to
Yes, definitely put your seatbelt on.
put my seatbelt on. Yes. Okay. I see that my air pressure gauges are reading between 120 and 125 psi.
Okay.
I'm going to release the parking brake. Once I've released it, I'm going to allow the pressure to settle. Once I see that the gauges have settled, I will then begin counting to a minute. Within that minute, the pressure should not fall more than 2 psi.
Okay.
I've released the parking brake.
Yes, there you go. You supply in there.
And the gauges have settled.
Okay.
Now that they've settled, I'm going to begin counting to a minute to ensure it doesn't fall more than 2 psi, if you wouldn't mind counting along with me.
Okay.
Do you want me to count to the full minute?
We'll simulate a minute.
Okay. A minute is now passed, and the pressure did not fall more than 2 psi and is operational.
Okay.
I'm now going to test my service brake. In order to do that, I will apply pressure to the brake. Once the air pressure has fallen and the gauges have settled, I will then begin counting to a minute. Within that minute time span, the air pressure should not fall more than 3 psi in that time.
Okay.
All right, I have applied my service brake, and I see that the gauges have settled. I'm now going to begin counting to a minute, if you wouldn't mind counting along with me. A minute has now passed, and the pressure did not fall more than 3 psi, and so the system is operational.
Okay.
I'm now going to begin fanning my brake. As I do that, the pressure is going to begin rapidly falling. When it reaches around 60 psi, the warning buzzer and light should sound and turn on. Once it gets between 40 and 20 psi, the parking brake should pop out to
There we go.
apply.
And it popped out.
Okay.
What we're going to do next?
I am going to now turn on the bus in order to regain air pressure. I'm going to unchock my wheels in order to complete the next part of my test.
Okay. All right. So before you start the next portion of your test, what do you got to do with your air supply, with your air tanks?
Ensure that it reaches 120 to 125 psi.
Good job.
In order to do that, I'm going to apply the accelerator to regain pressure.
All right, up to 1,500.
Up to 50.
All right. slow.
Yeah, that one is. The bottom one's at 120, but the top one's not moving.
Okay. All right, let's simulate it. It made it to 120 and 125.
So my gauges have both the upper and lower tanks have reached between 120 and 125 psi.
Okay.
I'm now going to test the parking brake. In order to do that, I'm going to put the bus into drive. I will leave the parking brake applied, and then I will press the accelerator up to 1500 RPM and release my foot off the accelerator. Once I do that, the bus should not move.
Okay.
The bus did not move, so the parking brake is operational.
Good.
I am now going to test the service brake. In order to do that, I'm going to keep the bus in drive. I will release the parking brake and drive forward to 5 miles per hour. Once I've done that, I will come to a complete stop, and when I do that, the bus should not move to the left or to the right.
Okay.
The bus did not move to the left or to the right. I'm going to secure my bus by putting it in neutral and applying the parking brake. This concludes my air brake test. And concludes my pre-trip inspection as well.